What if Etsy gave us as sellers a peek into what they are emphasizing and driving buyers to? And better yet, what if they even spelled out some top niches and recipient ideas that we as sellers can leverage as we think about what to list or buyers to target? In a recent video, I revealed how to use Etsy's new gift mode feature to do exactly that by turning this new buyer feature into a seller niche machine. I asked you all if you wanted to see more like it in a series, and you made your opinions crystal clear. So welcome back to another video where I use the gift mode in Etsy to identify a niche, walk you through how I would go about coming up with ideas for it, and as a special treat in this episode, I'll be highlighting designs using AI in Kittl. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Mandy and as the owner of multiple six-figure businesses, including Etsy print-on-demand shops, my goal is to provide you with strategies to simplify the journey and scale your business faster so that you can stop the overwhelm, start making progress, and thrive with your print-on-demand business. First, a quick recap on Etsy's gift mode and why I think it's important to pay attention to it. You may be thinking as a seller that this is just another gimmick, or that this will in no way affect you as a seller. But from a business standpoint, I think ignoring what Etsy is putting right in front of us is a missed opportunity. Think of it this way. Yes, a lot of buyers will still be using the search bar as normal, but given the push that Etsy is doing for gift mode, I think we're going to see a natural uptick in sales for the categories that they are presenting to buyers. In the short amount of time that it's been available, what I've studied is that the personas are static and they're rotated based on what users select when they move through the options. And the items that are recommended also rotate, because these are things that target a specific customer identity who is already on the platform and ready to buy, but they're based on something that they may not have ever typed into the search bar directly. So I see this as another layer to your strategy when creating products for an ideal customer. Creating based on search volume will still be relevant and important, but if you can target these newly identified personas as well, or incorporate different elements of them into your existing niches, I believe you can really increase your chances of getting your listings in front of buyers. One of the things I regularly emphasize is that as you are listing products and optimizing your SEO, you need to be thinking about giftable opportunities. So with the release of this AI-powered feature, Etsy is giving us a clear sign that this is a priority and that they are doubling down on their mission to be the top platform for gift giving. So let's dive in. First, we need to identify one or more of the personas that Etsy is using as its basis. To make things easier for you, I actually spent many hours going through every combination I could find in the gift mode, and I believe I have put together a comprehensive list of most, if not all, of the different baseline recipients. It's a total of nearly 200 different identities and occasions. You can grab your copy in the description and use it to literally come up with thousands of different combinations of customers that you could potentially design for. For today's example, I went through the gift mode process. I picked sister as a recipient, birthday as the occasion, and then astrology as the recipient interest. And that gave us a few different ideas. We've got astrology expert and space explorer and crystal collector. Let's go with astrology. I'm envisioning tying this in with possibly some zodiac or celestial concepts, which could make it even more specific to a recipient and also touch on some different themes and aesthetics that are also in demand. The next thing that I like to do is head to ChatGPT to get some design concepts, because how can we design for our persona or a niche when we may not know that persona very well? I actually built a custom GPT and programmed it so that as a user, you enter in a niche that you want to design for, and then it will respond by asking you the tone that you want, whether it's funny or inspirational or sarcastic. And if you want to cross niche it with anything else, perhaps coffee or wine or even nature. Then it will give you design concepts, unique phrases to resonate with your niche, and AI image generator prompts. I tested it across several different niches, and it was pretty cool. Over 1,000 people have used this so far to come up with different ideas for their niches. Unfortunately, you do have to have the upgraded version of ChatGPT to use it. Sorry, that's OpenAI's requirement, not mine, and I don't get any money from it. But I've included my ChatGPT guide for you as an alternative. It's not quite as fancy, but there are still some of my favorite go-to prompts that I still use all the time for coming up with design ideas. Using this method is how you can start to identify words and phrases that are going to speak directly to your ideal customer. The more that you can create a connection with your customer within your design, whether it's in the elements or the words or the color palette, the more likely they are to click into your listing and convert to a sale. So for this one, I simply picked an upcoming astrology sign, plugged in Aries sister into my niche creator, and then let it run. It'll then prompt me for the tone that I want for my suggestions, and then as I mentioned earlier, we'll also ask if I want to cross niche it with any other concepts. I chose to go with a sarcastic tone, and I don't necessarily need any other cross niche at this point. You can see I got a ton of great ideas for both design concepts, potential phrases, and AI image generation prompts that we might use later. Now the fun part. Let's actually design for this particular niche. Today's designs are going to be done in Kittl, and I actually want to highlight their AI features that can bring your designs to a whole different level, especially if you don't have a ton of design skills just yet. One of the things that I love about Kittl is that they have tons of templates that you can use to start with that are really, really good, and they will make it look like you have been a graphic designer forever, and you can adjust almost all of the elements within each of the templates. So for this one, for example, I could search space, or if I was doing a nature design, I could search for mountains or camping. And as we scroll, we can see all sorts of designs that are ready for us to use, and we can make changes to, change colors, change different elements, and make them our own. But to start with, I'm actually going to start with their AI tools. As you can see, they've got a lot of different AI features that they've continued to add to. And so I'm going to start with their quote generator. This is where I can pick a niche. So in this case, obviously, I'm going to start with astrology. But if I wanted to, I could pick any of these or type in my own in the box. Then I can click continue. And then I can pick a mood. So normally if I were in ChatGPT, this might be the tone that I would be asking it for or prompting for. So in this case, I'm going to select sarcastic, and I'm going to keep my phrase length to 2 to 4 words to start with. And then that will generate a bunch of different ideas for us. And so then we can scroll through these and see if there's anything that makes sense for our designs. Because I chose 2 to 4 words, these are going to be shorter. So depending on the design that you envision, these could work really well for big, bolder statements where you don't need to fit as many words on the design itself. If I wanted to go back and adjust any of either the niche or the mood or the phrase length, I can do that. So if I go 5 to 8 words, now I will get longer phrases that, again, I can use in different ways within my design. So as I scroll through the options here, we can see I'm an Aquarius, what's your excuse? Sorry, can't, Mercury's in retrograde. Forgot my horoscope, now I'm lost. So these are all going to be really good phrases that would be perfect for an astrology or zodiac or similar style of design for what we're looking for. I think to start with, I'm going to go with astrology because blaming stars is easier. Then I simply click on use this quote, and it's going to automatically generate a new design board for me, and I can go ahead and start using it. Now what I'm envisioning with this, since I'm doing specifically an Aries design, I could leave it as astrology, but I want to make it much, much closer to my ideal buyer. So in this case, I chose Aries, and so I'm simply copying and pasting this phrase, and I'm separating it into two different text areas. So I'm going to move this Aries up to the top, and then because Blaming Stars is easier, at the bottom. And then we're going to have some fun with it. So remember those AI image generator prompts from my custom GPT. I'm going to grab one of those that look like it would make sense. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to come into Kittl AI, and I'm going to paste it into the prompt area. You can see that they're using a new version 2. It's something that they just updated, and the quality of the designs that come from these are really, really good. So I'm pasting that prompt in, and then I'm going to let it generate. For this first one, I simply pasted the prompt in. I didn't select any particular image style, just to get a sense of what it will initially come up with. From here, AI imaging is all about refining the results you get and even refining the prompt itself. So with Kittl AI, you can see that they've got tons of different image styles. They've got clip art styles. You can give it a retro look. You can give it a mascot look. You can make it look like it's made with watercolors. You can make it look like a line drawing. There are tons and tons of different options, and it's really fun to play around with and get a better sense of the different type of images that it can come up with. I can also update my prompt. So instead of just mystical celestial space with a sarcastic twist, I can add in something more specific, like with stars and moon, and that will help to refine the prompt and the results that I get. If you create an image with a vector styles, you can easily change the color in it. So if I wanted to take this from a black design to a white one, I can easily just change that right here within Kittl. As you start to identify particular styles that you like, or if you like the image and the direction that it's going, you can continue refining. So for example, I added as though the ram is floating in dreamy clouds. And so as I let that generate, I'm getting closer and closer to what I'm envisioning for this. This one I really like in particular. I like the colors and I like the style that it's portraying. So let's use this one. Going to delete the ones that I don't need, and then I'm also going to use the AI background remover because I don't want the white background on this image. Finish deleting the rest, and now we've got our image to work with. So I'm going to expand this and scale it up to make a full design for what I'm going to use. Now that I've got my baseline image, I've got a bit more now to work with in terms of how I finish designing the rest, particularly for the text that will be around this image. I wanted to have a similar look and feel and color palette. You can certainly start with one of the pre-made templates or decorated text fonts that are available on the left. I'm actually going to start with a font and style that I know is available. And so to do that, I can simply select my text settings. And then you simply scroll to find one that fits what you're looking for. I want more of a vintage rock streetwear look, so instead of some of these retro designs, I'm going to go with this techno version. So we'll start there, and then we will use that to fill up the space. Then we'll change the color. I can use the little dropper to actually grab little color matches from the existing design. That will ensure that my colors are complementary to what's already there. Then I like to use the effects tab to create different effects for the text. And so when I select that, you can see this one has a fading color cut, and so I can do a two-tone of different colors. So again, I can use my color picker to select colors that are going to match the image and work really well for it. Then I'm going to use my little cheater method for adding an outer border by selecting the block shadow, turning the offset all the way down, and then turning on the outline width. And then I'm going to find a contrasting color, so I'll just go with white in this case. And now you can see that really makes it stand out, and it doesn't make the font itself shrink because it's adding that border to the outside of the font and not inside. Then I'm going to add some fun transformation to the text. I like to use the distort because I can make it tall and then I can make it arch around the image itself. go through and adjust our image size, make sure it's nice and big and centered, and then we'll tackle the phrase at the bottom and give that, again, a nice complementary font that doesn't compete with what we've got at the top and still fits kind of that streetwear style that will work for this design. Something like this will work well, and then we'll just change up the color to make sure it stands out, because I do envision this being on a darker contrasting shirt or even tote for this particular design style. And there we go. That looks good. I typically take one final pass, select everything, make sure I have the entire design nice and centered, and then it's ready to export. For the next one, I'm going to start a new project. And then what I also love about Kittl is that when you do start a new project, they actually have print-on-demand presets, so I can grab my Printify size canvas and it's going to be perfect. Now if we go back and look at our AI quotes that it generated, there was another one that I really like that I think can be perfect, and that's this "Sorry can't, Mercury's in retrograde." And I want to do a spin on this based on what I've seen done with similar niches, but in a totally different way and kind of a different funny take on it. And that is the concept of sorry, can't, whatever your niche is, and then buy. So for this case, I'm going to do sorry, can't, Mercury's in retrograde, buy. And then we'll start working on our design from there. Similar to before, I'm going to find different fonts and styles that work for this. In this particular case, I'm not going to use AI for a big part of the image. I'm going to actually use it for just a very small portion and an element to really add to and highlight this particular niche and style. So as I refine my design and consolidate it a little bit, I'm going to come back into my Kittl AI and I'm going to look at the different styles. This time I will use line art, and I'm going to just use a basic prompt based on what I'm looking for. So I'm envisioning celestial stars and moon scattered. Very, very simple prompt. So let's see what it comes up with. This first one was pretty basic, so I simply regenerate and ask it to make another image, and so it's going to use the same prompt but come up with something different. And this one I think is actually perfect. So this is spot on. It's very simple. It's got the scattered stars and image, kind of like a sky, so it gives it that mystical celestial vibe that will work really well for this niche, and it will fit really well in this corner. Continued adding in other elements, and I could make this even more specific. Again, if we're going and targeting a very specific zodiac in this case, I could change this to sorry, can't, I'm an Aries, and so that would be another option. One thing I will mention is that some zodiac signs are trademarked for certain product categories, so just keep that in mind, and as always, make sure you're doing your due diligence with the USPTO.gov website to make sure that you aren't going to run into any problems with your designs or keywords that you're using along the way. I'm going to do a quick finalize on this design. We're going to scale it up to make sure it takes up the full canvas size, and then we are in a pretty good shape with this one, and it is ready for export as well. And then the last tip that I'll show you with Kittl is simply starting with one of their pre-existing templates. These are a great way to, again, search for something specific that you are looking for. There are a ton of different styles that you could tap into simply by searching. You can easily do that from their homepage, or as you're creating a new design and starting a new project, you can scroll through the templates on this side as well. For a mystical vibe, I can type that in and see some different options that I get. As usual, keywords will be your friend here, so keep them relatively broad so that you can get the most amount of options to scroll through and see what's going to work well for what you are envisioning and the particular aesthetic or niche that you are going for. To keep with kind of my mystical and astrology theme for this, I started with this template, and so now each of these individual elements, as I hover over them, I can clearly see that I can remove them, I can change the colors on them, I can get rid of them, I can do all sorts of stuff if I need to with each of the different elements. So then it's just a matter of playing around with the design and moving things around to make it your own and create something that's new and unique that will work for your ideal buyer that you are designing for. So in this case, I might do something like Aries energy and have that be kind of my main bold statement at the bottom, and then everything else will fill up the entire space. I could search elements here and bring in something like a ram, which is the sign for the Aries, and so then as I scroll through, I could find something that would fit in here. And because many of these are vector images, as I add it to the design, I will then also, in many cases, be able to change the colors or even remove colors as part of the design elements if I want it to be like it is, where it's more of an outline-based design with monochromatic colors. Once we've got our design, it is ready again for export. Once we've got our designs finished, then they are ready for products. I like to use a Printify because they've got a ton of really top sellers. It doesn't always have to be apparel. They've got products that are well beyond that. One of my favorites is to use tote bags. This one in particular is from Monster Digital. I also really like the jumbo ones from Duplium. These ones in particular, I like when I'm doing black tote bags though, because I can create some nice contrast, and I think it would work really well for this particular type of design if we use this one as an example. Another best-selling product from Printify is the Comfort Colors. This tends to be a very in-demand style, so using comfort colors alone and the really aesthetic, nice mock-ups that go along with them could help this design a lot and really help it stand out and do well in the marketplace. As always, I love you, Printify, but please, sellers, don't use these basic mock-ups as part of your Etsy listings. They do not fit the right aesthetic, and so make sure that you are updating those. And finally, the last product that I like to highlight is the good old standard Gildan 18,000. I like to use SwiftPod, and so that is another option for the design that I am working with and would be great for any of the designs that I created here. Once you have your designs, make sure you are then also investing in really good mockups. Etsy is a highly visual platform, so as customers are scrolling, you often only have just one chance of making a first impression, which means you need a quality mockup, a properly aligned design with the opacity turned down so that it looks as accurate and natural as possible, and make sure you have a listing video whenever possible as well. This creates movement on the screen as customers scroll over your listing, and this can help stop that scroll and get them to click into your listing. I hope this has been helpful for you, and don't forget to grab your copy of my Etsy gift mode cheat sheet down in the description, as well as the link to my niche creator custom GPT if you'd like to check that out as well. If you want to learn more about my strategies for thriving in your print-on-demand business, make sure you've got the notifications turned on for my channel so that you don't miss out on any of my content. And in the meantime, be sure to check out my free print-on-demand course in the description, as well as my time blocking series here on my channel for an even deeper dive on the critical steps for success. Thanks for watching. I'm so glad you're here, and I'll see you in the next one.